ICT's Stuart Huntington traveled to New York recently for a story on Indigenous Canoeists who are retracing river routes that were the continent's original highways. Take a look.
They started paddling in May on the Penobscot River in Maine's Penobscot Nation and plan to complete their journey right back there in September, after passing through native lands all along their way through New York, up the Hudson River into Quebec, and then back down the Penobscot. At a stop in the Shinnecock Nation, Onondaga citizen Hickory Edwards said the trip is much more than mere aquatic adventure.
The world needs unity, and that's really what we're doing, is uniting these nations all the way down from Penobscot territory all the way down the coast into Shinnecock and then up into my lands. We got Mohawk, Oneida, Onondaga, that we're all united through these flowing waters. I believe that it's important for us to start relearning these highways.
And spreading wisdom. Shinnecock citizen Shanae Bullock helped guide the paddlers through her nation's waterways.
Out there behind us is the Atlantic Ocean. There's a small piece of land there, and there's the Atlantic Ocean on the other side. And here is what's called the Shinnecock Bay. Our people have been living here since time immemorial on this bay. This bay is very much a part of our genetic makeup. We understand that she's alive. And when you come up to Shinnecock, you can swim and still see your feet because we shellfish and we take care of the land underneath the water. And that's just our everyday life. If the world really could spend the time to be guided through our homelands and through our waterways to see how we live, to see what we did, they would truly understand how to do that properly. And
above all, respect the water.
There's the one element that remains constant, that life cannot exist without it, and that's water. Now that water makes up, roughly 75% of us, and that water that's in us right now is that same water that was here in the beginning of time. It's been recycled over and over in the clouds, in the ground, in every blade of grass. It's been in our grandparents, our great-great-grandparents, thousands of years ago. And it's in us now, that same exact water. And that's why it's important to, keep these waters alive, because they are us. They are our grandfathers. They are our future.
Edwards, who spends a lot of his time learning, living, and teaching traditional canoe culture, considers himself first and foremost a water protector.
One of the reasons why I start becoming a water protector is coming on these waters and seeing directly firsthand the sickness on these waters. We have all these pollutants that come in where some places where we can't swim. In my own lands, Onondaga Lake is one of the most polluted lakes in the world.
At Standing Rock, he made a lasting contribution.
I grabbed the tree from the Cannonball River and dug a hole, stuck it in there, and I sat there for a week, with pieces of wood and nails, and asked people where they're from and then how many miles to home. We had people from Iceland, Greenland, far away as Australia. In the Smithsonian at National Museum of the American Indian got word that it was there, and reached out, and I said that I made it and that I could save it and rescue it from being demolished and bulldozed over, and they agreed. So I went out for my 5th time out to Standing Rock and rescued that mile marker pole and donated it to the museum.
Today, Edwards is back out on the water as the great canoe journey, stroke by stroke, moves towards its return to the Penobscot Nation. Along the way, they stopped at the Unkashog Nation on Long Island, where Chief Harry Wallace greeted them and honored them, and perhaps best summed up the journey's message of connection and regeneration.
Greetings, my friend and relative. My name is Harry Wallace. Giwase Inini in my language, which means hunter man. I'm a Turtle Clan, and I'm the elected chief of the Unkachog Indian Nation, and we are here on our land, which is called Puspatuk, which means the place where the waters burst forth. This village has been in our possession for over 1,000 years. We've never relinquished control or jurisdiction to anybody here, and we're here to celebrate and honor the voyage of our relatives who are traveling by water. It is a voyage that has taken place for thousands of years. The original waterways were the original highways of America. And so what this journey is doing is reaffirming our territorial jurisdiction over our water. And we are honored to be a part of this celebration and proud and honored to be a part of this journey.
In the Unkashug Nation, Stuart Huntington, ICT News.
High blood pressure is a concern for anyone, but when you're pregnant, it can be especially alarming. High blood pressure in expectant mothers can result in preeclampsia. It's a hypertension disorder that usually begins after 20 weeks of pregnancy in women whose blood pressure has been normal. If left untreated, it can lead to serious and even fatal complications for both the mother and the baby. While there is no cure for the disorder, creating awareness through shared experiences can empower mothers to be with life-saving knowledge and the courage to speak up if they feel something is wrong.
My name is Mona Nojakam, and I'm from Taos Pueblo, New Mexico. Being a mom is everything to me. It's such an important role. It's such a sacred role, especially as Native people, especially as Taos Pueblo people, as Potawatomi people, that it's our responsibility to teach our children who we are and how important that is, and that they're able to understand who they are and carry on those traditions and values and customs and cultures. We've had conversations for a long time and just kind of discussing what family could look like. That was just a really important piece to us, to be intentional about it and really create kind of that sacred space to invite a child and call them down from the stars, because that's kind of how we look at it, as a very sacred being whenever children are invited into our family and they want to come to our family. And that was really important to me, to try and incorporate those traditional birth practices, some traditional teachings into that, because that's definitely gotten lost. I decided to go with the midwifery route. I really seeked out the wisdom and experience of a doula, in that Taos Pueblo doula provided so much information to me that nobody else really knew. I had a normal pregnancy for the most part. It's really difficult to decipher what's normal in pregnancy and what's not, because you'll read lots of different things, and even just talking to folks will say, oh, that's normal, when maybe it necessarily isn't normal. At about 41 weeks, I noticed that I was experiencing extreme swelling that kind of happened very quickly in my legs, and I brought that up to my midwives, and they referred me for more testing. And I was also experiencing kind of a flutter in my chest. It was actually kind of an increased heart rate, and that's when I knew that I was experiencing symptoms of preeclampsia and that I did have high blood pressure as well as protein in my urine. I felt that something wasn't right. They would need to induce me that night. I wasn't able to pursue the home birth like I had originally planned, and as things progressed, then my blood pressure went incredibly high. And so at that point, I was unable to even move at all, and I had to just be literally on the bed. I had an emergency C-section, which brought out my baby healthy, thankfully, but I continued to have preeclampsia postpartum. Just days after having my child, I continued to have high blood pressure, and even when I was sent home, I continued to have high blood pressure. So I didn't know how to navigate this, what I was supposed to do moving forward. And thankfully, I had my midwives that were still a part of my process. I had a kind of community of support. Otherwise, I don't know how I would have gotten through that. My husband was amazing. He's always incredibly supportive of me. And I really rely and lean on my in-laws a lot because we're really close to them. I'm so happy and thankful that I had my husband right beside me throughout this entire process to really help me think through what was happening, as well as be an advocate for me too. Trust yourself. You are the expert of yourself. of your body, of your experience. And because you're the expert, you have the ability and the knowledge to really advocate for yourself. And if somebody's not listening to you, then talking to somebody else and saying, this doesn't feel right, and understanding the power and the strength that you have, that you can advocate for yourself in order to get, the equitable care that you deserve and you should have.